Squirm Squad, ready to roll.
Cole, I'm the one leading this squad. Thank you.
Whose orders am I following?
Your own. I mean, you pretty much listen to yourself only.
Me, your Sergeant Marcus Phoenix.
Yeah, sure. Who are you again?
I'm the Sergeant of the Delta Squad. Remember?
It's just being a maverick again, Sergeant.
Oh, sorry. I thought I was in Beta Squad.
Surprisingly, there hasn't been a Beta Squad. At least not that.
You think
it's in the comics.
You think that in Gears 5 it will introduce it just to be a bit more on the nose?
That's a faint tale. The squad in 4 and 5. Well, 4 they're not a squad yet, but in 5 they are. In Gears 5, the Kate's squad is literally the Delta Squad. So
yeah.
No, I know. I was more like.
I got it. Maybe the reason there's no Beta Squad is that they all died before the game.
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Beta Squad in the comics.
Onto the Gears wiki in the meantime, I'll check.
Anyway, R2D2, I mean Jack, is gonna
send a signal.
Yeah, release the beacon.
R2D2. Oh great! I love these missions, but a lot of
these ones, basically, don't worry, Dribs. Gears 2 makes it a lot more fun to deal with, seeing as how these enemies can take a while to come, and Jack has relatively well enough HP, so you can hold them off well enough. It never really feels unfair, at least in Gears 1 for free. Oh, yeah. That's another thing about these creatures. When they talk, they can only talk in cliches. Oh, don't worry. You'll be in for a bit of a surprise in Gears of War 3.
Wow, what do they say there? You know, we're really not so different, you and I.
That's probably reserved for the Queen. Anyway, I checked. No, there is no Beta Squad at all. All the B, starting with squad that start with B, are Black 4, Blue Troop, Bravo, Bravo Squad, Bravo 6, and Bravo 3.
Oh, well, I mean, Bravo does tend to be the compatriot to Alpha.
Yeah, but there are Alpha teams.
Of course there is.
Alpha teams on machines. For those who don't know, it was this thing in the mid to late 2000s from the makers of Action Man.
Sorry, Lives?
Alpha Teams on Machines was this thing from the makers of Action Man.
Oh.
Where they tried to have you kill kids being on machines.
So it was another attempt at Hasbro to create another team like Mask.
Action Man was Hasbro.
Yes.
Oh yeah. You'd be surprised how much Hasbro had on their umbrella.
Hasbro is like the Disney of toys, basically.
Although I haven't heard anything from that series recently.
Well, Mask was a thing.
Correctly, they're trying to reboot some of their stuff.
Mask was a very awesome series. Like, it sounded mundane, but when you actually saw it, it was pretty awesome. Take no prisoners!
Go!
Seriously,
Also,
2.0.
2.0, you have to kill like what, 100,000 targets?
Yes.
Jeez.
Well, I guess
think
it
it
counts
might
also the
do all
it
that.
counts
Well,
the
it also-
multiplayer. So
Yeah, it was. The multiplayer matches also count towards that. So basically, it's just an incentive for you to try out the multiplayer, because the multiplayer, according to fans in this original trilogy, is very addicting. So you'll basically get this if you
Does
over
but
the
does the
course of the-
multiplayer still work in this game?
Yes.
I
Well,
know,
Microsoft-
it's pretty surprising.
Well, remember, Dwebs, Microsoft is relying on the original 360 versions for backwards compatibility thing on the Xbox One, so they need to keep the servers open.
And yes,
you'll be surprised, Libs, how many old games keep their servers open for how
True, I mean,
much
that's
the
how
fan demand is.
That's how Proton John was able to get so much mileage out of Bomberman Act Zero.
Not to mention Dwebs, not to mention Dwebs. That actually serves for a good point, because the Gears 3 servers are still regularly getting matches, whereas Gears 5 is basically a wasteland at this point.
so it's really funny to imagine, a game and its sequel both having their servers both open. It's almost like if Smash Bros. Ultimate had its servers online, while also we have Smash Bros. 4 and Smash Bros. Brawl's online's all still active.
Well, if I had to, I think imagine that at least for the 3DS version, the servers are still, alive.
I thought Brawls had been shut down by now.
Brawl,
considering-
yes, because anything that was on the Wii has been shut down by now with multiplayer capacity.
Although
Same for the
I
DS.
really liked the Everybody Votes channel.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah,
fun.
the Wii Shop, even the Wii Shop channel itself closed. You can't even get any of the Virtual Console and WiiWare stuff anymore.
I'll admit, even though
Unless of course you know your ways on the internet, like I do.
Wink, wink.
yeah, I'll admit, I didn't really go to the Wii Shop channel that much, seeing as how as a kid at the time with Wii wasn't very familiar with the concept of game consoles hooking up to the internet. But
Actually, I have a question because I actually don't know the dates precise. Was Microsoft or Nintendo the first to pioneer for the modern consoles the virtual shop? Okay.
Oh, when
Microsoft,
it comes to virtual shops,
Xbox-
yeah, that's Microsoft technically.
Remember, the Xbox 360 came out in 2005, a year before the Wii.
Oh, okay.
No,
I know that
arguably-
there have been some prototype attempts with some past consoles, like Sega did it.
And I think, if I remember correctly, I think even the original Xbox allowed you to download some little small mini games.
Oh yeah, I mean, Xbox was sort of the first one, but Xbox 360, that was the real big deal with Xbox Live being the first ever time when you would have online with a games console. Like, oh boy, if there's one thing I miss of Microsoft back in the day, it was how innovative they could be. Like,
that's what makes the 2013 reveal so ironic. The company that pioneered online gaming was now trying to restrict it.
Like, between all Nintendo and Sony's many faults they may have, at least they haven't lost sight of what made them the juggernauts that they are still. I hope Microsoft haven't either, but man, if they don't pick up their game with the Xbox Series X or the Xbox or whatever they're calling that console nowadays.
Apparently it's Series X again, because
so they went back to the
It keeps changing names with each day.
If you don't know the name of your own fucking console, that's a bad sign, guys.
Want to be anywhere else? I think I take the tropical island.
Thank you,
me
Baird.
too.
Now we gotta get
Me
into
too.
the palace. Find that queen.
There you go. See, that's why I gave you
Let's
Baird.
move, Delta.
What, preferring tropical islands?
No, because I had a feeling of these four, Baird was gonna be the one you were be more in sync with, since he's the one who's the one who's most about trying to get away from all this violence and just go and relax and shit.
I don't know if I've said it before, but Gears does such a good job making a dude bro shooter with characters you can actually care about. Again, I mean, that's not to say that we didn't have some games like that, but in a dude bro shooter, mostly the theme was action, and story can come second.
Turning back.
Oh, and they ain't kidding, y'all.
Well, the door's gonna shut on them, isn't it? Yeah.
It was predictable.
No, wait, I left my satchel back
I
there.
forgot my iPod.
Oh, I forgot my wallet.
Still don't get how they could have.
Well, like you need your wallet. at this
Yeah,
point.
what? Are you gonna buy some souvenirs of a queen?
Maybe.
All the shops have been destroyed.
Yeah, but we haven't checked out the gift shops here at the Citadel.
Yeah, that'd be. Or wouldn't it be some world if all shops were destroyed and yet the only ones that survived are freaking Walmart in Jova's case and Asda in mine, since Asda are owned by Walmart.
Jova, that's because much like Final Fantasy 15, the primary theme of this group is camaraderie.
Let me put it like this:
that and humanity coming together to face a big threat, big threat and shit like that. That's why that's one of the big reasons why I find Gears 5 story so completely erroneous. The fact that there's so much excuses for divisions and rifts between the group.
I think I just appreciate it for being such a good world that I actually feel encouraged to go looking for the comics, not because I feel like I need to read them to understand stuff, but because I legit want to see more from this world. It's that endearing to me. At least Gears 1 for free are. Gears 4.
I just wish we would have given more priority to the games when it comes to the story, rather than giving priority to the comics personally.
I feel like they did what they could with the games at the time. The comics are just them putting in what they couldn't at the time, seeing as how, let's not forget, back in the day.
Once again, the comics were actually made after, apparently, the trilogy, so...
That's the main reason why I'm a bit iffy, Teo, because, for example, to give you an idea, Teo, don't worry, this doesn't spoil anything from the games. Basically, Teo, there's a comic book that takes place in between 4 and 5. And it's this story where Marcus, for some reason, takes Kate under his wing and goes on missions with her. You'd think he would, take his own son under his wing, but
apparently he hates his son in Gears.
Unfortunately, this is Marcus written by Tom Bissell instead of Marcus being written by Joshua Ortega. So unfortunately, he has a bit of brain damage. Sorry, too.
Hey Pedro, hey Pedro, hey Pedro, you wanna know a cliche I hate more than the older sibling being a dick to his younger sibling? The parent being a dick to their kid for no reason.
I mean, when even Final Fantasy X understood that simple parental abuse wasn't enough and we need to actually develop and say that it was a bit more of it, that says a lot.
The reason I know, Teo, is because when I was playing Gears 5 for the first time, there was a point where once again we have a moment of tension between Marcus and JD, and Kate tries to console JD by going, "Yeah, it's just because he loves you, right?" And he snaps at her, going, "Yeah, you would know a lot more about that than I, right?" And I'm like, wait, what? Where did that come from? So I went to check the Gears wiki, and there's this comment that takes place in between 4 and 5 that explains that line. I love being confused when playing a game and I have to do research. It's just a wonderful disconnect between me and the story of the game. It's wonderful.
That's another problem with Gears 5. Like, okay, say what you will about Gears 1 for free, but they never felt like you blatantly needed to read stuff to get stuff, whereas Gears 5 feels like it was written with that in mind. And I get it. At this point, the franchise was a cross-media franchise, but that's not the way you do a franchise. The major media should be able to stand on its own without us needing to read stuff here and there.
It's just like
Good question.
Oh, here we go. Here's the twist that I was talking about earlier.
What could possibly So Teo, want to take a guess at what could else be
I think I already mentioned this a couple.
Okay.
I think I mentioned this a couple of parts ago, but I think I was guessing the urgency of the Locust and moving on is because they were escaping from something else.
Possibly something worse.
But I just don't know what it could be.
Oh, let's just say, to quote Total Recall, get ready for a surprise!
But they were going to call Qui-Gon Jinn with the result with a bigger fish.
I'm trying to remember if I already used that joke when we fought the worm.
Possible. Oh. So there's a schism then.
Let's just say get ready for some world building. So Pedro, out of the original Free Gears games, what's your favorite?
Free.
I thought so.
Well, I guess considering again it was supposed to conclude the original trilogy, I can
It should have
imagine.
been, it should have been the end tail, but unfortunately.
Well, I know. I'm actually speaking only, with
No, I get. But let's just say tail. Let's just say tail. I hate four because it basically renders the ending of Gears 3
pointless, of course.
But not in the way you may expect at first. It's...
And again, like me and Joe have discussed, it wasn't even necessary. You could have perfectly continued making more Gears games by just making a prequel trilogy during the Pendulum War.
Hell, I
You
mean,
know, take those stories for the comics and make them into games.
A reminder, while it's not confirmed completely, there is some reason to believe that before this was given to the coalition,
coalition.
there might have been some plans to actually make stuff from the comics, canon into the games with new games, or possibly make remakes of the original trilogy that would have incorporated more story details into them.
Well, remember, Jova, 2 and 3 were supposed to receive the treatment that 1 got.
Was that ever
they
confirmed?
didn't.
I don't remember hearing any of that, because remember, Gears of War Ultimate Edition came out in 2015, the same year that the backwards compatibility program was announced.
Exactly, so we just felt the need to just do the first one.
So, speaking of which, how are the servers on that game, I wonder?
I get that. But I'm pretty sure they're fine.
No.
Well,
I meant like in terms of occupancy. Like, well, are people flocking to that one as much as they are 2 and 3?
I'm guessing so, considering it's the best version of the game.
All I know for sure is that 2 and 3 are still popular, and 5 is...
I haven't delved into Gears multiplayer since I'm not particularly interested in getting into that scene.
Fair enough.
But Pedro, don't you want to hear all the 12-year-olds telling you slurs?
That's more so Call of
Duty. Don't
Duty.
play Gears of War anymore, that's the thing.
True, they're playing Fortnite. Well, maybe the new Call of Duty, who knows?
So, which would be? Will you take the stairwell, or...?
I'm gonna go to the left with the Troika, because I love my turret sections.
And now we're going with Cole now. Alright, buddy, ready for the Cole train.
Yes.
Besides, they're gonna give Dom some pause.
Oh, are you back, Libs? Basically, Libs, earlier we saw something afar. We saw the Locust being attacked by someone who isn't us. Okay, we'll get back to this.
Okie dokie.
There you go.
Thank you, slow-moving elevator. This provides us just the cover we need.
But yeah, I get that too. I'm just saying, did we ever have any actual confirmation that there were Ultimate Editions of 2 and 3 in the works at some point?
I don't know.
Because I never heard any of that.
Me neither.
I was maybe they were considering it privately, but they just never made it public that they were in the plans. But again, when the backwards compatibility program became a thing, I'm pretty sure they canceled that.
Is there any IP from Microsoft right now that isn't in some form of trouble?
Well, let's see. There's Halo.
Ori. Oh, there's Ori.
Oh yeah, Ori. And okay.
Did they port that to Switch though?
They did.
So, are you asking for like a series that we can only get on Microsoft platforms that's not in trouble?
Well, that's the
that's
thing.
what I meant.
Well,
Sorry,
that's the thing, Dwebs. Phil Spencer doesn't believe in console exclusivity and competition, which is completely erroneous if you ask me. But whatever.
Although surprisingly,
I mean,
Pedro, get this: Halo 5 is still an Xbox exclusive. It's not on PC yet.
I mean,
which ones are those, Java?
Halo 5.
Go ahead.
I mean,
if
if Sony can resurrect a game that's like over 20 years old, even if it does have some caveats here and there, and Microsoft can't keep their current IP stable, then that's a bit of a problem.
It's that or
what
Halo.
What were you referring specifically to?
From the PlayStation end?
Yeah.
Medieval.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, it's either that or Halo 5 is definitely not on Steam. I've checked. If it's on Microsoft.
I haven't checked yet, but I don't think it's on the Microsoft Store either.
I'm checking right now. Apparently, you can play the multiplayer on PC.
Just the multiplayer?
Apparently.
To be honest, Jova, the single player wasn't long and wasn't the greatest thing ever, so I guess we just cut corners.
Which is okay, yes.
Well, it's only a matter of time. The Master Chief Collection is coming is on Steam. Halo Infinite is going to come into PC. It's just a matter of time.
I know.
Although that's the thing, though. Halo is one of those games that people do, in fact, buy the campaign for. Like, say what you will about Gears, but Halo, that was revolutionized with the campaign. Don't get me wrong, the multiplayer
I agree because I actually know a couple of my friends are actually very die-hard Halo fans. They shit post regularly about that, so I can attest, at least for them, that they care
What are
about
their
the
thoughts
plot.
on 343 Industries then?
They don't really care. But for them, it basically stopped at Reach.
Oh!
Well, yeah. I'll tell you, as someone who also, got familiarized, that's pretty much the overall consensus for most Halo fans.
I'll just put it like this. The best thing we got out of Halo 4 and
For
5...
the record, everybody, for those who don't know, Halo Reach was the final one made by Bungie.
Okay, for the record, the best thing we got out of Halo 4 and 5 was the updated graphics for Rooster Teeth's Red vs. Blue show. Let me put it like
Is
this.
that thing still going, actually?
Oh, yes. They're actually working on Season 18 as we speak. Basically,
I guess we can't live eternally just with Ruby.
let me put it like this. People thought the fight scenes in Red vs. Blue were better than the final fight scene in Halo 5 with Locke vs. Master Chief. It says something when the fan-made parody has overcome the original.
No, but yeah, continuing when I was talking to Drews, that's the thing. There's the big problem with this whole kumbaya, no competition attitude. Is that again, if you go back and check into history, the history of gaming, the best things we ever gotten in gaming were because of competition. The whole reason Sonic exists is because Sega needed to compete with Mario. Like if it wasn't for that competitive spirit, Sega would have never made it into with the Mega Drive.
Hell, if it weren't for competition, we wouldn't have gotten Smash Bros. Back on the N64 when they were looking for a new killer app. And look at what we've gotten from Smash Bros. Nowadays.
Exactly. Again, it's not a matter, and some people try to argue, oh, exclusives are anti-consumer. Exclusives are not anti-consumer. Exclusives is a way to give your consumers who bought your product something to be proud of their purchase. That's not anti-consumer. That's pro-consumer.
Now, that's not to say that I'm against the idea of an exclusive eventually becoming a multi-platform, years later down the line, like
Horizon Zero Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn, yeah.
Or hell, like Wonderful 101. And yes, for those who didn't know, I'm sure there's a lot of you who didn't know, that has a Kickstarter that is possibly going to be...
It's already over by the time we're recording, so... honestly, considering the release date has been for May, I think, probably by the time we're making this public, it's gonna be released already.
Basically, for those of you who don't know, because that game didn't... Oh.
Oh, jeez. That's a molten corpse.
Don't touch that shit. You could get rust slung off that or something. I don't know, man. It looks infected. Yeah.
That's putting it lightly.
Let me get this shit straight. The regular locusts are fighting the glowing locusts? I thought they were all on the same side. I was wondering.
Hey, not all locusts know each other, Cole.
Explains their desperation in the raids. They're losing their home turf to the Lambent.
The Lambent. So there you go. Remember those glowing locusts that exploded back in Gears 1? They're called the Lambent. So there you go. Turns out the reason the locusts were so desperate and becoming so much violent to destroy the humans and occupy our territory is because they need to get away from the Lambent, which are stronger than them.
Funny how it all works, ain't it? They're getting pushed out, so they want to push us out.
In that way, we are not so different from humanity.
Exactly. I do like this
Yeah,
twist.
wait,
it had some nice
Remember
great morality to the whole conflict instead of just being.
Remember that joke I said earlier about them speaking in cliches, and one of their quotes I think they'd probably say in the future was, we're really not so different, you and I. I can't believe they'd actually do it.
Well, they didn't actually say the line. They implied it, but it didn't say the actual line.
I'm still expecting the Queen to say it.
The answer may surprise you.
Oh, of course.
Let me guess, she tries to talk. She's going to talk, but then she suddenly gets shot or something.
Nowadays, we need a boss fight.
Personally, I don't mind that line. I actually find it to be one of those cliches that to me doesn't get old. It's just it's a classic.
Oh yeah, me too.
And it can add some great morality when done well.
Context, as usual. The problem to me is mostly how overdue is these and how easy it is to fall into it.
Let me put it like this. Unlike the Liar Revealed one, for as common as We're Not So Different, You and I is, I've seen it done better way much more times than I've seen it done crappily. And heck, even when it is done badly, it's something that I can laugh at, whereas something like The Liar Revealed is just grating.
Even freaking Uncharted did it.
Uh-oh.
So there you are. Congratulations, Microsoft. You did one thing better than a PlayStation exclusive did. Not have the Liar Revealed trope.
That's not to say Liar Revealed can't be done well, but
this game came out back in 2008, right before Sony started getting their shit together.
Oh god, yeah, like it is funny how in so many ways Microsoft's Xbox One is essentially their equivalent to Sony's PS3. And
well, yeah, that again, Jova, the third console curse, like I've told you before.
Seriously.
Except from what I understand, it doesn't even have the PS3's like renaissance near the end of its lifespan.
Unfortunately, no.
That's the thing, and a lot of Xbox ones also agree with me with this situation. A lot of people would say, yeah, what Microsoft should have done is take a page from the PS3 and just, try their best to flood the console with exclusives, and eventually people will get over the $599 get over the DRM shit, like people eventually got over the $599 shit.
I'm also going
to be fair, it even got lowered anyway.
If you get, well, yeah, it obviously will never go away, Theo. But
no, what I mean is that similar to the Brent Alpha song about consoles at launch, a console price usually drops by $100 like after 1 year. So...
Sure. Again, if Microsoft had taken a page from the PS3 and tried their best to flood their console with quality exclusives instead of just trying to basically put their games on everything and streaming and shit.
Yeah.
It probably would have worked out just fine. Yeah, they wouldn't have caught the PS4, much like the PS3 never caught the 360 until after the generation ended.
Heck, I'm gonna take a page from Ackman's book here and there. You know what would have really helped them? Is when Sony announced that they were making PS Plus now cost money, whereas it hadn't during the PS3 era.
Yeah, Ackman brought that up.
They so should have gone, hey, Xbox Live, it's still free. Because let's be quite honest, they make so much money that they could afford to not make extra money off of servers that honestly didn't even really improve when they started charging money for it.
The problem there, Joe, is that Xbox Gold subscriptions give them like $2.5 billion per year. So there's no way they're going to give that up.
And therein lies the problem, though. If they had been willing to sacrifice that, it could have helped them in the long run. Seeing as how now they've got an even bigger mountain to overcome with their new console, because a lot of people, it's like I said before, a lot of people stuck with the Xbox One either out of buyer's remorse or because, they only had money for one console per generation, so they had to stick with it here. So now that those people are free of that generation, Xbox have got to really clean up their act if they want those people to come back, especially the loads of people who left Xbox for stuff like Nintendo Switch, PC, and especially Sony of all things.
Again, the primary, it just goes down to the fact that they should have, and as for going this back into Gears, that's just the thing. That's just the thing, Joe, when it comes to the whole I will say that, like for example, I will say that there are still some aspects. While the original trilogy does it better, like you said, I would argue that there's still some plot points from the comics that should have been in these games to begin with.
I mean, I get that, but again, these games sort of have the excuse that those comics are in existence. Ah, there we go. They look. Oh. Be careful, they may bleed acid. Huh. Well, that's weird. That's right, their blood can move up and down like that. Interesting. Best laid plans, ha ha ha.
Going into overtime.
Now watch as 4
Ladies and gentlemen,
heroes.
the Palace of the Locust Queen.
Now watch as 4 random heroes with some attitude go in and deal with this.
Whoa, this bitch's house is creepy.
You don't say, Cole.
Pull this off.
Whatever you say, Moses.
Translated from cliche-ish, that means fuck 'em
Stay
up.
alert for traps.
Well, Debs, think of this game as an '80s action movie, basically. It's all about that kind of stuff.
Did I ever say it was a negative?
Oh, sure.
Because sometimes you can use cliches to your advantage. Unfortunately, some don't.
Oh yeah, like remember that movie you, me, Tio, and Shura commented on, Dwibs? The one called Kung Fury? That Kickstarter movie.
That 80s-ish film, yeah.
It was basically Pedro. It was a Kickstarter movie that has a kung fu master have to battle Adolf Hitler, and the kung fu master happens to have a police cop, Triceratops, as a partner.
Triceratops, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
I
that's
think-
basically the Asylum
think it's
strategy, to try to put as much testosterone into the movie as possible.
Oh no.
And I think it's
See,
a
unlike
better-
the Asylum,
I think it's a
this
better
movie had a soul.
I think it's a better pastiche of those kind of action movies than Last Action Hero was.
I liked Last Action Hero, but I can maybe see where you're coming from. I feel like Last Action Hero was just a movie that maybe came out a little too early for its own good. That said, though, I do still feel it holds up to this day and age, especially considering the source material. Switch.
Joe, this is on Xbox.
Yeah, but they said to Switch on there.
Yeah.
Oh, honestly though, considering rumors of Halo eventually coming to the Nintendo Switch, would you be surprised if Gears came to Switch as well?
Well, I mean, it's like what Pedro's been saying. If that's true, then there's no need for me to buy an Xbox. You know, one thing that I think would actually, again, you know, despite what I literally just said, one thing that would actually fit on Nintendo Switch
What?
Go ahead.
from Xbox. I mean, Rare Replay.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, why not? Rare's got a history with both Nintendo and Microsoft, so why not?
it's funny you mention that, seeing as how you know that game Super Lucky's Tale? Yeah, the makers of that game actually made a special version for the Nintendo Switch, which people consider to be the definitive version. And get this, it's sort of like a gameplay overhaul of sorts, where the gameplay style is different. Like, it is not just a different version of the game, but it's technically a different game. It's called New Super Lucky's Tale.
Yeah. So that's something they borrowed off Nintendo. New.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, Super Lucky Tale is different from publishers on the Switch depending on where you are. In North America, it was Playful Core, and here in Europe, it's P-Cube.
Oh, Playful. Yeah, Playful is the company that made the game. So.
Yeah, except the publishers were different. Depending on. Okay, it was Microsoft everywhere for the Xbox and Windows one, but it's different publishers for Switch depending on whether you lived in North America.
Interesting.
I still have my
It's
Xbox One copy, so I'll see. I'll eventually see if I'll eventually get the Switch if I find it cheap, so I can compare it to.
Let's see.
I
Banjo-Kazooie and Cuphead are both on Smash.
As for-
All we need to complete the triumvirate now is Master Chief.
The only real difficulty when it comes to putting Rare Replay on Switch is the Xbox 360 titles, because those will take a bit of work and money to port.
Well, I mean 360 stuff on Switch, I can see.
Oh, it's perfectly
I can-
possible to have. It's just that it would take a bit of money to port those, because they're not emulated. So.
Basically, it sounds like you'd have to semi-remake them at this stage of the game, unless they still have the source code on hand.
Oh, I'm pretty sure Rare still has it. I mean,
But Rare we can say a lot about Rare at the minute, but they still do better take better care of their source code than, say, Square or Sega.
I knew you were gonna bring up Square Enix.
Well, it's true.
Oh yeah,
they
it
can't.
is
They
true.
they keep losing Kingdom Hearts, even though that's supposed to be one of their big series.
Yeah, what
They
is up
keep
with
losing
that?
Kingdom Hearts. I mean, the only Kingdom Hearts game that lost the source code to was 1, wasn't it? I don't remember anyone.
Well, 2 also ran into a
No.
bit of that issue too, but the main one is Final Fantasy 9. That's the
Well,
big infamous
Oh,
one.
Well,
boy,
as you know, Jova, Final Fantasy 7 and 8 were the ones where that they had to port the PC versions. 9, they still had the original FMVs.
Yeah,
Which is why
but they lost a lot of the other assets, hence why, we
True,
didn't get
that-
proper updates here and there.
Well,
in
it was
certain
well, it was
areas.
still more than 7 and 8. I'll give them that.
Especially
What happened?
eight.
Did they? What happened? Did they think they were gonna go bust in the early 2000s because of
No,
because
in
of
general,
inheriting money and decided okay, delete everything?
it was a Japanese mentality, Lives, of not keeping everything for the long game.
It was
They
before
weren't
the
expecting preservation of this kind.
It was sort of before the concepts of remakes and remasters was really in vogue, shall we say? The
Yeah,
irony.
Anyway,
In the next part, everybody, we meet the Locust Queen face to face.
See
Yeah.
you then.
See ya.